Well, those of you that are sorry about the opening there, but if you guys are coming into this game and you want to know whether or not Sophia is worth downloading, the reason I made this video isn't really necessarily for people that never played her or used her. It's for people that maybe do know about the character and have tried her, but anybody could watch either way. So what this video is primarily about is my overall thoughts of the character and also whether or not you should download her. Now, don't mind the delay that kind of goes on here, and the way I have to record this is a little different than you might be used to, so just bear that in mind. But those of you that are familiar with this character, most of you kind of know what all comes with her and everything about her. Um, the first question that most people would have for those that never tried her is she any different from the vanilla followers and companions, or is she anything like them at all? Is she like Serana or anything like that? Not exactly. I mean, even Serana, as much as she has more, even though she has more dialogue than most typical vanilla companions you come across, Serana is still primarily, still mostly revolves around the Dawnguard DLC, and most of the story ties that she has revolves around that. Okay, she does comment, about things you do in the world and other things like that, but Sophia goes a step further than that. Sophia's character from the very beginning was designed to follow with the Dragonborn throughout their journey. Now, that was the idea behind her. Some people, but as you get to play her though, and you find out things about her, this is where people kind of run into certain issues with her from time to time, and usually it comes down to her personality. Well, it depends. Sophia, the mod author makes it pretty clear that she was designed intentionally to be kind of annoying and sort of do certain things. So they did definitely have a certain mindset about the character going in. The only thing that people have about her is the fact that the type of annoying that she is different than what most people, I guess, are typically used to. Most people usually associate annoying as okay, maybe there's some things about the character that might be a little grating once in a while, but it's usually something you can live with. Not so with Sophia. It's mostly the stuff that she says. You have to bear that in mind. Most everything that she says in the game usually has some type of sexual innuendo behind it, the meaning behind it. So this is where some people get into the mindset of the character was made specifically just for people that are looking for that. And I do believe that, there's some truth to that. I do think so. I mean, when you look at the character from a certain point of view, when you first meet the girl, after all, she literally has no clothes on. So just let that sink in. So it was obviously meant to be a joke taken literally. But unfortunately, she also at times comes without clothes. Even if you put a set outfit on her, sometimes she will come without clothes. But so my thoughts about the character after trying the character after so long. So what you guys understand, those of you that played her, some people like the character. Some people think she offers some pretty good insight into the game. And, for the most part, I would say that there are things I like about the character, but there are some things about her that kind of, go beyond the realm of Skyrim, if you know what I mean. And that's where it comes down to whether or not you decide you want to try her. I don't think it's she's one of the older mods after all, so you have to figure okay, she was there, early on, when they was just getting ready to come out with special edition at the time, I want to say. So she's been around for a good bit. Um, you know, she is very quest aware though. That's one of the sides that I do like her about her. When she does comment, though, she will kind of speak her own mind and that sort of thing. And you can sort of romance the character. I would say that the romance part with Sophia isn't really so all that great, though. It's once you max out her her relationship level with her, you basically just take her around, kill things, go in caves, that sort of thing. That's basically how you do her. And just like the regular vanilla companions, once you get the amulet of Mara, you can basically marry anybody you want after that point. It's just like she becomes just like everybody else. But with the way that they did her, though, I do feel like it takes way too long and time consuming the way you have to build it up too much. And it feels more like you're leveling a character as opposed to, I don't know. But as you get close to maxing out her level at 100%, she'll start to bring up some comments to you. She'll start asking you some questions, ask you something, and then basically you give her a response at certain points, depending on what it is. She may like what you say, or she may say this or that. Or if you join the companions, for example, if you're a vampire, she'll comment on either of those things. It doesn't matter what it is. She's also very quest aware when it comes to the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, other things like that. I've also found things with her I didn't think she would actually know about, like little quests in the game that you come across. But that's the thing, since mod authors are gamers after all too, most of them are. If you played the game enough, you're gonna know a lot about the game. Then even most of the vanilla companions will not. So yeah, it's something that you could take in mind. That said, though, what are the shortcomings about the character? The shortcomings is what I said. She is a little bit sexual, and most of her dialogue kind of revolves around that. But it's up to you whether or not you think it's annoying or if you could live with it. I mostly just ignore most of what she says. She will comment about certain characters around Whiterun. So for those of you that might not like Nazim, for example, you might like what she says to him, or this kid, for example. But every once in a while, though, she can be a little bit mean spirited, as some people would say. Sometimes the way she'll use a line of dialogue towards somebody might be a little bit too much, or a little too, too much to be said there, that sort of thing. But the point behind it is to give your character some sort of depth, because since our character doesn't talk after all, who knows what our character would actually be thinking of half the time, the people comment about what we're doing around in the game. So there is something to be said for that. But the main thing with Sophia is that, she's somebody that's in the world to kind of make blend into the world at some certain aspects. But at the same time, though, you could argue that she doesn't quite fit either. It's kind of like both. If those of you that have tried Inigo, you guys know that a lot of people like Inigo. It's mostly the way he talks. It's the way that he kind of talks, but there are people that you know, aren't so keen of the guy either. I've tried different ones, but in terms of if you want to try the companion, if you want to try Sophia, I would say that she is one of the better ones to try. Despite some of the shortcomings that you get with her, for the most part, I do enjoy the character quite a bit. It's from a mod perspective. And, despite some of the sexual nature of the character, I do find that, she can be a joy to have, and she does grow and level quite a bit to the point in the game where she can even surpass your level at certain points. The only downside is some people would say having her makes the game a little bit too easy. Yeah, maybe because, I don't know. I don't often play on survival mode all that much because I'm not really the survival type. Not that I have never done it before. I usually play between expert and adept kind of modes. That's usually what I kind of leave it around. Well, having Sophia though, and since she does level with your character, unlike the base vanilla companions, though, it can make a lot of fights extremely straightforward and easy. But that's mainly because she don't die. And so, because you don't have to worry about her as much, she can pretty much handle herself and, that sort of thing. But, you know, so, you know, but Serana on its own is about the closest you're going to get to a slightly better vanilla companion if you just want to just go with the base games. But there's not much beyond Serana to what you get in the game. Unless you add mods to her or you change something about the character, that's basically it. Sophia is kind of like an all-in-one version of that, but goes a little bit further with the sexual innuendo stuff and all that sort of thing. So it's up to you guys if you want to try her. I'd say she's at least worth a download at least once if you want to try her out, that sort of thing. You know, just certain things to keep aware of. As long as you give her some decent equipment, it doesn't really matter what it is. She'll be pretty good with it. She typically, according to the mod authors, she's supposed to be a warrior, but basically she's adored. So you could pretty much give her anything. You could even turn her into a spellcaster. I've done that before. You know, I've done it with Indigo and a few others as well. There's a bunch of different companions you could find, but not all of them are all well put together, though. I would say Inigo and Sophia are probably the most put together types. Maybe you guys might have heard of Ari or some of the others out there. She's all right. I've tried her. She's kind of like an elf type of follower, I guess. Uh, I found her to be a little bit too bland, though. I thought there would be a little bit more to the character, but not quite to that level. This is Abby. I played around with this character. Maybe you guys might have seen it out there. She doesn't really talk much. She's more like the vanilla companions, but she comes with this kind of look to her. So yeah, so I do think she's worth it, in a certain aspect, but it's up to you guys, whether you think she is. It's there's times where I will admit she can get on your nerves and she can get a little bit annoying. But as long as you understand that and you know what the character's about and you can kind of tolerate it to a certain point. The only thing I would say though, if you don't want her interrupting conversation at every point she gets, before you go to talk to anybody important, you can always have her wait somewhere and she'll stay there. Just like everybody else that you could just tell, just like any other follower, if you don't want them to be somewhere you don't want them to be, they'll wait wherever you tell them. And then when you come back to them, they'll comment as if they already heard the same conversation you heard. So, your followers, most of the time, companions don't have to be in the same spot for them to know what's going on in the game with you. It's because it's part of their programming. So what your character already hears, they already know. So it's pretty interesting the way that it works out. So I don't know. I found her to be an interesting character in that aspect because she does add a little bit of some dialogue to the world around you and gives her own perspective on it and her own feelings about different people. And as you do get to know her, she will open up about what she thinks of the people in Whiterun and that sort of thing. She'll mention about the shop, the shopkeeper Bellathor. She'll mention about his sister and all kinds of other things. Nazim, as I said, so she does have her own thoughts about the place. So it's pretty interesting the way that is. And she has a lot to say when you go to places like Ripton, Winterhold. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, does she align a certain way that some people might want to know? Not really. I mean, she doesn't really. She's more like how a person would think. It's like, okay, should I really side with these people or should I side with this person? She doesn't really like she doesn't really like Imperials all that much, but she also doesn't really like Stormcloaks either. And she's supposed to be a Nord. So it's kind of like because you got to figure, Nords can be in part of the Empire, just like a Nord could be a Stormcloak. So when you think of it in that perspective, she just kind of goes along with whatever you do. That's basically what she's there for. She basically reflects whatever you're about. So other than that, that's basically all I have to say for this character overview and what I have to say about it. You guys can add your own thoughts and that sort of thing. You know, so other than that, that's pretty much all I have for this video. So with that, guys, take care.